Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about moving. People sometimes live in one place and then they move to another place. Sometimes they move because they have to start a new job in a different city. Sometimes people move because they need to go to school. There are a lot of reasons to move. Sometimes children move out of their parents' house, but people certainly do move from time to time in their lives. Some people move more often than others. I have an uncle and aunt who have moved 19 or 20 times in their life. Personally, I've only moved probably 5 times in my life, maybe 6. I have not moved a lot, but moving is when you live somewhere and then you decide to take all of your things. You take everything you own and you go to a different place and then you start to live there. That's my best explanation of what moving is. It is something that is stressful. We talked about it, I think, in the lesson about stressful things, but it also can be very exciting. It can be exciting to decide that you want to live in a different part of the country, or you want to move to a different country entirely, or you just want to live somewhere else for a time. So once again, welcome to this English lesson about moving. So the first slide I have has 2 verbs on it, the verb to move and the verb to move house. In Canada, and I think in the United States, when you move, we just say move. When are you moving? I'm moving in 3 weeks. In the UK, though, in Britain, when I watch British TV shows, they often say move house. Can you come out? Do you want to go out to eat this weekend? No, I'm moving house. Or when are you moving house? In a couple weeks. So just kind of ignore my explanation of the second phrase. You'll have to look in your British English dictionary to get a good description. But in Canada, we just say move. When are you moving? Or when did you move? Do you need help moving? I'm going to move in 3 weeks. By the way, I'm not moving. If you were wondering if this lesson is like a secret way for me to say I'm moving, I'm not moving. I'm not moving for a very long time. So we have 2 different phrasal verbs, to move in and to move out. And obviously you can tell the difference. When you move in, it means that you are entering a place to live there, okay? So you could say to someone, when are you moving in to your new apartment? Or you could say, when's your move-in date? Which is kind of how we refer to the day you move in somewhere. So that's the day that you would be entering your new place. People can also move in with you, okay? When my son is done university, he will move in with us again. So that just simply means he's going to live here again. And we have to move out, which can be used the same way as well. When someone moves out, it means they leave a place. So you could say, when do you need to move out of your apartment? What day do you need to leave? And you could say, oh, I need to move out in 3 weeks. I need to move out on April 17th or something like that. So, and as well, when you live with other people, they can move out as well. I could say, oh, my son is going to university in September. He's going to move out at the end of August. So move in, move out, the 2 directions of moving. And we have something called moving day. So a lot of times when people are planning to move, they will refer to the day when they are going to move as moving day. They'll say, oh yeah, moving day is in a couple days for me, so I need to get ready. I need to pack my stuff. Or you might say, oh, you're moving. When's your moving day? And you would say, oh, my moving day is April 17th. I'm just using that date randomly. But the day when you move is called moving day, and people will often refer to that with that name. They'll say, when's your moving day? Oh, my moving day is not for a few more weeks yet, so I can relax. In English, we use the word stuff and we use the word things a lot. In fact, Jen and I were laughing the other day because we were having a conversation and we used the word stuff so many times, it was making us laugh. But when you move, you take all your stuff, okay? Before you move, you might need to pack all your stuff up, and you need to put all your stuff in a car or in a van, and then you need to drive your stuff across town, or you need to drive to the next city. Then you need to take all of your stuff out and put your stuff in the new place. This is a very useful English word, the word stuff. And we also use the word things. Like, oh, do you have a lot of things? When you move, do you have to take a lot of things with you? Oh, I need to get all my things ready because I'm moving in a few days. So stuff and things, just very, very useful English words to refer to all of the things that you own, all of the stuff that you owned. Boxes. When you move, you're going to need boxes. You're going to need a lot of boxing. Sorry, not boxing. Boxing is this. You don't need to do any boxing. You'll need a lot of boxes. But when you move, you want to put your stuff in boxes. It just makes it more convenient. You want to put all of your things in boxes. So you might go to a store and ask if they have any old boxes. You can actually buy moving boxes, boxes that are made for moving. When you go to a company to maybe rent a truck, that company might also sell boxes, and you can buy some boxes in order to put your stuff in boxes so that you can move them. And you, of course, will want to sort things. When you sort things in English, it's not just when you're moving. You sort things anytime you want things to be organized. But when moving day is approaching, in the days leading up to your move-in date, you might want to sort things. So you might want to get boxes and put all of your books in one box and put all your clothes in another. That I like this picture because there's a box that just says stuff, and you might want to put your pillows in another box. And that way, you when you sort things, you kind of put all the things that are the same together, and then it's a lot easier to find later. Then once you move in, when you're unpacking, it's easier to find the things you need if you took some time to sort. We also have this English verb to go through, phrasal verb to go through. When you go through stuff, it means that you kind of, let's say I had like a couple hundred books and I'm moving. I might want to go through my books. That means I'm going to look at each of them and decide which ones I'm going to keep. Before I move, I might want to go through my clothing because there are things I don't wear anymore. And it's probably a good idea to go through my clothes and say, okay, I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to keep this one. So sorting is when you kind of organize things. When you go through your stuff, when you go through your things, you're kind of sorting, but you're kind of looking for the things you want to keep and the things that you don't want to keep. And then, of course, you need to box things up. You need to box up all of your stuff. This is kind of an interesting verb. You could say, I need to put my stuff in boxes, but it's easier to say, I need to box up my stuff. Have you boxed up your stuff yet? When are you moving? Tomorrow. Have you boxed up your stuff? No, I haven't started. That would be bad, by the way. If you were moving tomorrow, I hope that you already have all of your stuff boxed up. Hopefully you were able to sort and go through all of your things, and you were able to box up what you're taking with you. To declutter. So this is an interesting word. As you live somewhere, you just have more and more things that you own, but you might not need all of them. In particular, if Jen and I were to move, we have a lot of mugs. So in order to declutter, it means kind of to sort through and get rid of things. So if I was to say, oh, we need to declutter a bit, it means you have too many of certain things and you want to get rid of them. A common thing to do with extra stuff is to give it away, give it to family or friends, or donate it to a thrift store or a charity that will be able to resell those items in order to make a little bit of money. So when you declutter, it means you minimize the amount of stuff you have, and it's just a good thing to do before you move. To give away, I kind of mentioned this. One of the things that you might do is you might give away a lot of stuff. I know the one time that Jen and I moved, we kind of went through our stuff and we gave away a few things. We gave some things to our neighbors. We gave some things to my brothers and sisters. Sometimes when you're moving, it's nice to give away things you don't need so that the move goes easier. There's less stuff to put in boxes if you give away some things before you move. And then I like these 3 verbs here: to chuck, to throw out, to get rid of. So all of these mean to just simply throw something in the recycling or throw something in the garbage. Although the last one, to get rid of, that can also mean to give to someone else. I'm going to get rid of my car. I'm going to give it to my brother. But the first 2, to chuck, actually, it's similar to throwing. So it's the action of throwing something in the garbage or recycling. To chuck, to throw out. Before you move, the more stuff you can chuck, the better. The more stuff you throw out before your moving date it's just really, really helpful. Get rid of as many things as you can before you move. That's my recommendation if any of you are moving. To throw out your back. I thought I would mention this one because this is something that commonly happens when people move. People don't lift heavy things every day, but when you move, you need to lift a lot of heavy things. This guy is wincing in pain because when you lift something heavy, sometimes you throw out your back. This just means that you suddenly have a pain in your back, usually when you're lifting something heavy, and it's not very pleasant. So this is not directly related to moving, but certainly when people move, the chance of throwing out your back is higher because you have to lift couches and refrigerators and other pieces of furniture and big boxes. The chance of you throwing out your back is pretty high. Okay, so just the standard word for putting things in boxes and putting things in suitcases is to pack. When you are moving, you need to pack your stuff, okay? You need to put everything in boxes. You need to put things in suitcases. You need to put things in bags. Whatever you are using in order to move, you need to put your stuff in there. You need to pack. So generally, we use this word as well when you're going on a trip. Before you go on a trip or on vacation, you need to pack. Before you move, you also need to pack. And then you need to label things. We had a picture earlier where the boxes were labeled books and clothes and those kinds of things. When you move, it's just a really good idea to label the boxes. Dishes from the kitchen, books, bedroom, kitchen. So you either write on the box what's in the box, or you write on the box what room the box needs to go into in the new place. This is a very cool thing to do. Or if you were me, I would write both. I would write like dishes put in kitchen or dishes kitchen. And then if people are helping you move, they know where to put the box when they get there. You might even write fragile on the box. When you say something is fragile, it means that it can break easily. So if you have things like, maybe you have like really expensive dishes, or you have maybe little figurines or things that if you drop them, they would break. You would put them in a box. You would probably put them in old newspaper so that they're cushioned a little bit. And then you would write fragile on the box. I think some people say fragile. I should check the pronunciation. I say fragile. I should check if other people say fragile. Maybe I'll ask Brent in the chat what he says. Fragile or fragile. Make sure you look up that pronunciation. Depending on where you live, it might have a different pronunciation. And it might even say this side up. You might have things where you don't want them to be upside down when they are being moved. So you pack them all nicely in a box. And then on the outside, you would put a sticker that says this side up. It means don't put this box upside down because there are things in this box that must remain upright. You don't want them upside down. They need to stay right side up or upright. I can't think of anything right now, but I'm sure there's some things that you don't want upside down and you would put a sticker on it like that. You might use packing tape. So packing tape is just a special kind of tape that's really good for putting on boxes when you close them. It's a little bit wider, and it sometimes comes in a nice tape dispenser. And you can just put that on the top of your boxes really quickly and easily, and it will hold your boxes shut. Very handy if you are moving, to close the boxes with some packing tape. And then storage. So interestingly enough, in North America, some people rent a storage locker, or they rent space in a facility that has storage. And then what they do is, instead of moving everything to the new place, they put some things in storage. Sometimes people will move overseas, or they'll move to another country temporarily. I know that a friend of mine, as a teacher, he went to teach in Japan for 9 months. And so he put a lot of his stuff in storage. So this is just a storage locker. You can find and rent storage lockers in most places, most cities in Canada and the United States. But sometimes when you move, you have too much stuff, and so you need to put some stuff in storage. And that's how we say it. We just say, put it in storage. Yeah, I rented a storage locker. I'm going to throw some of my things in storage while I go away for a few months. You might hire movers. I've never done this. I have enough family and friends that when I moved, I just asked a lot of people for help. But you might not know a lot of people, or you might be moving on a day where it's not convenient for people to help you. So you might need to hire movers. Movers are people whose job it is to help people move. You need to pay them, obviously, but they will come to your house or apartment. They will take all of your stuff and they will put it in their moving van, and then they will unload it at the new place. So really good idea to label your boxes so the movers know where to put things when they get to the place that you are moving into. They will have a moving truck or a moving van. Depending on what vehicle it is, you would use a different name, but the movers will come in a moving truck or moving van. They will help you load all your things into the moving van, and then of course help you unload them. So yeah, a moving truck is simply a truck that's used by movers to help people move stuff. You can also rent from places like U-Haul. You can rent a moving van or moving truck and use that to move, and then you don't have to pay the movers, but you have to pay to rent the moving truck. And you might have something called moving blankets. So moving blankets are really thick, soft blankets that you can put over things that you don't want damaged, but they're too big to put in boxes. So let's say you had a really nice table and you didn't want the table to get scratched during the move. It would be a good idea to use some moving blankets. So these are big, soft blankets that you could put over top of things so that they don't get scratched or dented or damaged during the move. Things get damaged when you move. It's just going to happen, and you just have to kind of prepare yourself for the fact that when you get to where you're going, a few things might have been damaged on the way there. But moving blankets certainly help quite a bit to keep things from getting too damaged. And you might use what's called a dolly or a hand truck. In my part of Canada, we would call this a dolly. It's a two-wheel dolly, and it just makes it a lot easier to move things. I highly recommend, if you move, even though I haven't hired movers before, I would hire movers if you can afford it. And I would certainly recommend that you have a dolly to help you move heavier things. It's just way better. You won't throw out your back if you have a dolly, or you're less likely to throw out your back. But yeah, I would highly recommend, if you can do it, make sure you have carts and dollies, hand trucks, if that's the word you want to use. And if you can hire movers, hire movers. I know a few people who hired movers and they loved it, because 4 people just came in and carried all their stuff out to a moving truck and then carried all their stuff into the new house. And they just thought it was the best experience ever. So I use this word. I use the word to load. Anytime in English, when you are putting things into a car or putting things on a truck, notice the difference there. You could say put things in a truck, but I would probably say the movers are going to load your things onto the truck. You might load things into the car. This is the act of putting many things into a vehicle, okay? Before you go on a trip, you'll load your car with all your stuff. When you move, you'll load all of your things onto a truck so that they can bring it to the new place. So you'll notice this guy, he has a dolly too on the far side there, the orange thing. He's a smart person. And then I think those blue things in the back of the truck, it's a big stack of moving blankets. And then you certainly want to find people to help if you can. All of the times that I have moved, I've had people help me, usually brothers and sisters and friends. Just people who come and you can load their vehicle as well as load your vehicle. I have helped a lot of people move as well. Probably the most fun I had moving was a friend of mine and his wife rented a U-Haul truck. They rented a moving truck and we moved all of their stuff from Toronto. So it was fun to help them move. Me and a couple other friends help them load everything onto a big truck. Lots of fun. And then at the end of the day, they bought us pizza, which was really, really fun. To lend a hand is simply another way to talk about helping. You might say, hey, I'm moving in 3 days. Can you lend a hand? Hey, I'm moving in 3 days. Can you help? So both simply mean to help someone. When my friend moved, like I mentioned earlier in the lesson, I was happy that I was able to lend a hand. I was happy that I was able to help. So it's kind of funny. It's like you're letting them use your hands for the day, but obviously it just means to help. To unload, we talked about this a little bit. I mentioned that when you put things in a vehicle, you are loading the vehicle. When you load a vehicle, you put boxes in, you put stuff in. And then when you get to your new house or apartment, you need to unload the vehicle. So it simply means to take the things back out again. You unload and you bring the things into the house. So when you leave your current house or apartment, you will load a vehicle. When you get to your new house or apartment, you will unload your vehicle. And when you're in the house, you'll need to unpack. So we talked about packing. Packing is when you put everything in boxes. When you get to your new place, you will need to unpack. People don't often unpack the same day they move. This is what I've noticed in terms of when I move and when I help other people move. They usually move all their stuff. They unload all their stuff. They put all their stuff in their house, like they put all the boxes in. And then they usually just get a few things out in the kitchen, like some plates, and then order pizza. And then usually they set up their bed and then they sleep. And then the next day they start to unpack everything. Usually the next day is the day where they start to take everything out of the boxes and put it in the new places where those things will go. And then we have this interesting phrasal verb, to get settled, or verb phrase, I guess, to get settled. Sometimes it takes a while to get settled in a new place. After you move, the new place doesn't feel like home right away. It feels like you're in someone else's apartment or someone else's house. It can take a while to get settled. When we talk about getting settled, it means you feel happy in your new place. It means you've put all of the things in the right spots in your own place. So all of the kitchen stuff is in the kitchen. All of the bathroom stuff is in the bathroom. You've arranged the furniture in a way that is pleasant for you. When that's all done, we would say that you were able to get settled. Okay, it can take a few days or a few weeks or even a few months to get settled, to have that feeling like you are in a place you would call home. Hey, just a few random things here too. It's quite common for older people to downsize. So we didn't talk about this, but one of the reasons people move is because they're in a big house. Maybe they had 4 or 5 children and they needed a big house, but all of the kids are now older and have moved out. And so the older couple might then downsize. When you downsize, it means you sell a big house because you don't need a big house anymore, and you buy a smaller house or you move into an apartment. So I know that it's quite common. My mom years ago, she said, I think I'm going to downsize. All of you have moved out. I'm going to sell my big house and buy a smaller house. So definitely a common reason to move as well for older people is they simply want to downsize. They want to live somewhere that's a little smaller because they don't need lots of rooms. And we talked about this earlier as well. Sometimes you need to relocate because of work. As mentioned, someone mentioned that their bank manager or their dad was a bank manager and moved every 4 years. So in that situation, we would say he needs to relocate every 4 years because of work. Or let's say your dad or mom needed to relocate and you're starting at a new school. Someone could say, why'd you move here? You would say, oh, my mom, we relocated here because of my mom's job or because of my mom's work. And then I'm not sure why this is the last slide. I guess because it has the word final in it. I should have put this earlier in the lesson in terms of the theme of the lesson. But when you leave, wherever you're leaving, once you load everything in the vehicle, you usually do a final walkthrough. So you take everything out of your apartment and you load it into a truck or car, or you take everything out of your house. And then before you drive away, it's always a good idea to do a final walkthrough. This means you go back into the place you're moving out of, and you just walk and just check to make sure you didn't forget anything. So you kind of look around to see, oh, did we forget a box? Did we forget something somewhere? You do a final walkthrough. I actually do this as well when Jen and I leave a hotel. If Jen and I stay in a hotel, the day we are leaving, we pack all our stuff up. And then I usually just do a final walkthrough of the room. I just check to make sure that we haven't forgotten anything. It's not nice to forget stuff when you are leaving a place for another place, because then you have to go back and try to get it.